Now on CoastTV News.
Noise or necessity? Millsboro fire siren is the center of debate in town. Some say it's too loud, others say it saves lives. A budget battle in Delaware, lawmakers divided over to avoid a $400 million shortfall. And the latest on legal challenges tied to immigration enforcement and protests.
Protect your tender plants. Tonight we have a frost advisory away from the coast as temperatures dip well down into the 30s. Otherwise, a typical fall weekend on the way. Details coming up.
This is CoastTV News at 11.
Legal disputes continue to unfold around the country as President Trump pushes to deploy National Guard troops to American cities. Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us on this Friday night. I'm Christina DeRobertis. The Trump administration says the deployments are a response to what he calls violent resistance to immigration enforcement. And as Colin Jeffrey reports, a judge will rule by Monday on whether the administration can deploy troops to at least one city.
Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem traveled to Minneapolis Friday to discuss immigration and customs enforcement operations in the Twin Cities.
This office here has done incredible work to make sure that we are getting criminals, terrorists, foreign terrorist organizations, gang members off of our streets and protecting the members of this community.
Her visit sparking fresh protests. The Justice Department sued Minneapolis and neighboring St. Paul last month over its sanctuary city policies.
More violent crimes are being perpetuated in these communities because of their refusal to defend American citizens.
The fight over immigration crackdowns and the militarized response to protests opposing them playing out in court. A federal judge says her closely watched decision on whether to allow National Guard troops to deploy in Portland, Oregon will come no later than Monday. The Supreme Court is weighing a similar decision in Chicago, where House Democrats held a shadow hearing on Friday.
We need help when the federal government is attacking American citizens. Who will protect us?
Minority lawmakers use shadow hearings or public meetings as a tool to draw attention to their concerns.
This is our first one outside of Washington, D.C., to bring accountability, to shine a light on what is happening in Chicago, across the country, with Donald Trump's lawless, corrupt, violent, and inhumane actions.
I'm Colin Jeffrey reporting.
All right, back here at home today in Millsboro, a long-standing fire siren is now at the center of a new discussion. The downtown Millsboro committee heard that a potential developer has raised concerns about how loud the siren is, especially at night. But they say they also heard support from a person who lives in the area who emphasized the siren is important for community safety. CoastTV spoke with the president of the Millsboro Fire Company, Ron O'Neill. He says the sound is a part of public safety.
One of the things that is important with that is that it not only alerts the firefighters, but it also alerts the town and the public that that apparatus will be responding and that members will be responding to the firehouse.
And at the meeting, the committee also discussed some different options for how that fire siren is going to be used, to maybe relocating it. But for now, the committee has not made any decision. Also in Millsboro, speeding through downtown. It's an ongoing concern that is getting more attention from town leaders. The downtown committee met today, and they also talked about possible changes to slow down drivers. CoastTV reporter Nicole Richter shows us what people had to say about those possible changes.
Speeding through the streets. Something that could change soon, as the Downtown Millsboro Committee is discussing a proposal that could reduce speed limits in that area.
I just don't think that lowering it's going to change anybody's habits.
But some people agree and say drivers are going too fast, and it's time to hit the brakes.
I would be concerned. Bringing it down will maybe slow them down enough to save a life.
The town's current speed limit is 25 miles per hour through downtown, but the committee says they don't have a specific new limit in mind, only that it will be lower than 25.
I don't think in certain areas dropping a speed limit below 25 would be conducive. I think whether it's 25 or whether the speed limit is 15 or whether the speed limit is 50, I find more people very distracted behind the wheel no matter what that speed limit is.
Others worry that slowing things down will cause more traffic.
It's already congested at 25. I can't even imagine what it would be at 15. I don't know how far they want to go down, but I'm not sure that's going to solve any of the problems for the congestion.
Town leaders say they haven't made a decision yet and are considering other traffic calming measures, such as speed monitoring devices, bump outs, and increased enforcement, noting that any speed limit change would have to be approved by DelDOT since it's a state road. In Millsboro, I'm Nicole Richter, Coast TV News.
Now to Rehoboth Beach, where the 35th annual Sea Witch Festival returns this weekend with some fall fun for everyone. The main event is, of course, the parade. That's starting tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Parking on Rehoboth Avenue opened up today at 6 a.m. Some people say they were there at 5 a.m. waiting in line to make sure they get themselves a good parking spot for their favorite event of the year. And you can also take the DART bus for a $4 all-day pass tomorrow, so keep that in mind. We also have some video that shows police opening those gates at 6 a.m. this morning to let cars start parking on Rehoboth Avenue. Chris Beagle was one of those cars. He says he was in line at 5 a.m.
Sea Witch is an amazing event, and it's all about community, and Rehoboth means room for all and bringing people together, and it's just yet another way that Rehoboth can highlight itself as such an amazing community. So we love it.
Now, some popular side streets like Scarborough Avenue will be closed tomorrow due to the parade, and we'll also be walking in the parade, everyone here at Coast TV, so say hi to us. We're going to check on our Coast TV poll now because we want to know what you think about these new parking restrictions this year, if you think cars should be able to park on Rehoboth Ave for the Sea Witch Festival. Let's take a look at the results here. 86% say no, they shouldn't. 14% say yes. We also have a comment tonight. Janice Jones left us a comment from Milton. She said, of course, no parking on a parade route. She also said she's glad to see Bob Trihy doing the weather tonight. I'm sure Bob will appreciate that. Thank you, Janice, for the comment. You can leave your own comment. You can also still vote. Just go to coasttv.com or use our mobile app. And now we're looking live into Ocean City, and we're going to turn things over to meteorologist Bob Trihy with a check on the forecast. Bob, we are expecting it to be a little chilly tomorrow, but no frost on the immediate coast, you say?
Christina, I think we'll keep it frost-free at the coast, so folks heading out to Sea Witch and Rehoboth don't have to scrape frost, but a totally different story inland. Frost advisory pretty much away from the coast for the entire area as temperatures dip well down into the 30s. Those frost advisories extend into Maryland and the eastern shore as well. In fact, back into Jersey and farther back to the west, we had that frost advisory and a freeze warning near Baltimore and points north and west. So it is going to be very cold. Already down to 40 in Delmar and Gumboro, 40 in Salisbury, 39 in Willards with 41 in Redden and 52 right now in Lewis. The winds are calming down. The skies are clear. Now on the satellite, you're seeing some green indicating rain. We're not seeing any kind of rain at all. It's just clear skies right now as high pressure is sliding in, and that will give us a very chilly night. So here's Futurecast at midnight, temperatures falling through the 40s, and then into early tomorrow morning, 36 Delmar, 37 in Millsboro, and then we're looking at 30s and 40s at the beaches, and then by the afternoon into the mid 50s. So very chilly as we go into the morning hours, and it looks like a typical fall weekend on the way. More in your forecast coming up in a bit.
Thank you, Bob. And Sea Witch is not the only event happening this weekend. Crowds are heading to Ocean City for the 50th Sun Fest. As we reported yesterday, it's a milestone that also falls during the town's 150th anniversary. The four-day festival marks one of the biggest economic boosts of the fall, bringing in thousands of visitors and millions of dollars in spending to local hotels, restaurants, and shops.
It's just a terrific economic driver. Anytime the sun's out, I mean, obviously we have a great weekend for Sunfest. People are going to come down and enjoy things. So they're going to eat in our restaurants, they're going to stay overnight in the hotels, they're going to buy something up and down the strip here.
And And Sunfest continues through Sunday night at the Inlet. There's no fee for entry. Well, it took years of discussion, but we now know the Clear Space Theater Company is going to stay in Rehoboth Beach. The city and the theater are moving ahead with a plan for a new performance venue on Christian Street. Today, Clear Space and the city locked in a 30-year partnership. The new theater is going to go on the site of the Cape Henlopen Senior Center once the center relocates. The land there is worth more than $7 million, but it's going to be leased to the theater for just $1 a year.
Among the things that we recognize has been most critical for many of our current audiences' experiences at ClearSpace is the walkable access to restaurants, to dining, to drinks before, after performances, which helped us to narrow our choices down.
The theater company had also been given a proposal from the city of Lewis, but they ultimately chose to stay in Rehoboth, where the theater has been since 2010. And ClearSpace says their next steps are looking for an architect and gathering some community input. A potential $400 million budget deficit may be looming in Delaware. The concern comes from President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill Act, which includes major corporate tax breaks that affect the state because Delaware's tax code is tied to federal rules. Some Democrats are pushing to decouple the state's tax code, and they want a special session before the January session begins to address changes before they take effect on January 1st. Republican lawmakers support the federal tax changes, saying they encourage investment and job growth, but there's caution that any rushed fixes could backfire.
We need to move quickly to do it because otherwise we're looking at a major deficit over the next 3 years.
Our desire to protect Delaware from this impact can't result in a change that then creates negative aspects that are unknown right now because this is complicated.
And Senator Buxton also says Delaware should take a hard look at how it is managing its existing money. Now to Seaford. On your screen now is where Seaford police say they made an arrest after community members spotted accused bank robber 57-year-old Donald Gross. Gross was seen outside of the Sunrise Motel in Seaford, the department says. They report they surrounded the motel while U.S. Marshals confirmed Gross was there. Seaford police say he was charged with robbery, conspiracy, terroristic threatening, and menacing. And we are just getting started. There's still more news ahead. Coming up, from Lewis to the big leagues, a Blue Jay with Delmarva roots takes the field in the World Series tonight. We'll hear from his former coach. But first, we of course have all your cool things to do this weekend. And Bob Trihy is tracking your forecast in the First Alert Weather Center. It's a frosty forecast, but a pretty nice weekend on the way. He has your forecast in a few minutes. So I think we can all agree the weekend before Halloween, that's basically Halloween, right? Well, at least in Rehoboth Beach it is. The Sea Witch Festival runs all weekend long. The big parade kicks off at 11 a.m. Saturday, but there's a lot more than that. There's a kids zone, live music, scavenger hunts, and more. And CoastTV will be walking in the parade, so say hi to us. Wags, witches, and warlocks will take over Bethany Beach Saturday for a town-wide Halloween festival and parade. That starts at 10 a.m. There's a costume contest for people and for pets. Milton will have a Halloween carnival at Hudson Fields from 1 to 6 p.m. Saturday with food trucks, bounce houses, and music. Also in Milton, Dogfish Head is hosting Punk Day Saturday. So that means pumpkin ale, pumpkin liqueur, and just regular punk. So don't be scared to go heavy on the eyeliner. The Salisbury Zoo has its biggest event of the year this weekend, Halloween happening at the zoo. People of all ages are encouraged to dress up. Kids can trick or treat throughout the zoo. And this is probably the least Halloween-y event, but you can still dress up for the Delaware Renaissance Fair. It only comes around once a year for a few weekends, so it's worth the trip up to Town's End. You can find details about all of these events over on CoastTV.com. All you have to do is click on Cool Things to Do.
We saw a touch of frost on our Friday morning, but I think we'll see much more in the way of widespread frost as we go through tonight into Saturday morning. But in between, a cool day, only 61 in Georgetown and Cambridge, 62 in Salisbury, Ocean City 63, and Dover at 62. So running a little bit below average, but the big story tonight is that frost advisory. Yeah, we've got the shivering thermometer. Protect your plants, cover them or bring them inside. Could be as low as 34 well inland to about 40 at the beaches. Won't see a frost there. And for the weekend, dry and cool, below average temperatures, more clouds, I think, as we head into Sunday. So let's run through the frost advisory until 9 a.m. on Saturday. Pretty much all of inland Sussex from Seaford to Georgetown, Frankfort, Herring Landing, but right along the immediate coast, Lewis down to Rehoboth, Ocean View, probably just warm enough to not see the frost, and that extends into Ocean Pines and Ocean City. But then you just go a little bit inland, back through Pittsville and Salisbury, Eastern Shore. You have the frost advisory as well, as those temperatures dip into the 30s. Also that frost advisory near D.C., Annapolis, into the Pine Barrens in New Jersey, Eastern PA, even a freeze warning along and north and west of I-95. Not going to see a freeze, but look at this, already dipping into the 30s in Laurel and Willard's, 39 in those locations, 41 in Millsboro, 53 in Lewis right now, 47 Bethany Beach, so a little milder at the coast as the winds are starting to calm down. So calm winds, clear skies, that is allowing radiational cooling. Any heat from the Earth's surface is escaping back into space as we're looking at high pressure building in from the west with a northwesterly flow, keeping us cold, and this high will stick around all weekend, keeping our weather nice and quiet. As Futurecast shows us, temperatures tumbling by 6:30 tomorrow morning, 37 in Salisbury and Seaford, maybe even colder than that in some places, 37 in Millsboro, 40 in Rehoboth, 41 in Fenwick Island. Then we're slowly warming through the 50s, a mix of sun and clouds, and only near 60 by the afternoon with partly cloudy skies. It's another chilly start heading into your Sunday morning with 30s and 40s. Excuse me, by the afternoon, looking at temperatures into the upper 50s. Along the coast Saturday, 59 Lewis, 59 in Dewey Beach and Bethany Beach, 60 in Chincoteague. Here's the Sea Witch forecast for the parade, looking great, 59, 60 on Sunday. And for Sunfest, 60 on Saturday, 61 on Sunday in Ocean City. Our next big system could be a coastal low. Models are still differing on the solution with this, but Wednesday into Thursday, definitely some coastal impacts, maybe beach erosion, strong winds, and heavy rain. We'll have to see about that. 37 tonight, clear and cold, frost advisory. 60 tomorrow with sun and clouds. Paul Davis 7-day forecast, upper 50s Monday and Tuesday with increasing clouds. Looking rainy and windy Wednesday and Thursday, upper 50s, but then clearing out for the ghosts and goblins on Halloween. Partly cloudy at least and a high around 60.
All right, thanks again, Bob. Well, the cost of living got even more expensive for Americans last month. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the annual inflation rate rose to 3%, the highest it's been since the start of the year. For families, that's $208 more per month than a year ago. It's the first major federal economic report released since the U.S. government shut down. And because of the shutdown, the White House says there probably won't be an October inflation report. Now to an exclusive look as NATO prepares for the unthinkable nuclear war. With tensions with Russia rising, NBC's Raf Sanchez takes us inside the high-stakes drills.
This is what training for nuclear war looks like. We're at the Vocal Air Base in the Netherlands, where we've been given exclusive access, as NATO for the first time allows reporters to see its nuclear war games. These European fighter jets are simulating carrying out a nuclear strike using American bombs.
NATO is a nuclear alliance.
Colonel David Bunch is the head of NATO's nuclear operations.
We're ultimately preparing for what would be the worst day.
The decision to use a U.S. nuclear weapon always lies with the president.
But in an extreme scenario like all-out war with Russia, the president could allow American nuclear weapons to be loaded onto an allied aircraft like this.
Dutch F-35s taking part in the exercise.
What message do you want Russia and other adversaries to take from this exercise?
That we're ready every day to defend every inch of this territory.
NATO says the annual exercise is meant to deter all enemies and is not aimed at Russia. But the Kremlin calling it a provocation. President Vladimir Putin responding this week, overseeing nuclear drills of his own. Under Dutch military rules, this pilot can only be identified as Lieutenant Colonel B. But should the worst day come, it would be his squadron called on to drop the bombs.
Does it weigh heavily on you?
Yes, it does, obviously, yeah. This is the highest form of violence we could use to be able to deter our adversaries.
And the last remaining nuclear arms agreement between the U.S. and Russia expires early next year. If it isn't renewed, there'll be no limit on the number of nuclear weapons both sides can deploy. Tom?
And that was NBC's Raf Sanchez reporting. Plus, we still have more news ahead after the break. Coming up, health plan pain. The cost of coverage is climbing again. How much more you could pay next year.
And our umbrella giveaway winner today is Dom Flannery from Selbyville. Congratulations. From Coast TV and Paul Davis. I'll have your 10-day forecast coming up a little bit later on.
This is Coast TV News at 11.
Well, Bob has been telling us cold weather and cold season are officially here. BB Healthcare is continuing their flu clinics across Sussex County, and the next dates are Tuesday, October 28th from noon to 4 in Georgetown, Wednesday the 29th from 10 to 2 in Lewis, then Thursday the 30th from 9 a.m. to noon in Bethany Beach, and Saturday, November 8th, that's 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. also in Lewis. If you plan on going, you have to bring an ID and an insurance card. Open enrollment is back. It's a time when people can enroll, renew, or change healthcare plans for the upcoming year. But no matter where or whether you choose a healthcare plan through your employer or through the Affordable Care Act, most will suffer sticker shock. Reporter Maribel Gonzalez shows us what is changing and how much more coverage could cost in 2026.
If you obtain health insurance through work,
the total health cost of health benefits is going to rise by 6.5% next year, and that is the highest increase we've seen in 15 years.
Beth Umlin from the consulting firm Mercer says employees will feel it through paycheck deductions, as employers may shift more healthcare costs to staffers.
The same healthcare service and good that you bought last year is going to be higher.
A survey by KFF, a nonpartisan health policy research group, found weight loss drug use is driving up costs for some larger firms.
Many of those employers told us that their spending was higher than they expected, and that the GLP-1s is making up a big part of their prescription drug spending.
Separately, Marketplace customers could see premiums more than double next year if Affordable Care Act enhanced tax credits expire.
We've been paying about $650 a month, and according to the new premiums, they would go up to about between $1,900 to $2,000 for the same plan.
Small business owner Michelle Mazer and her husband are facing tough choices.
It would either be me re-entering the workforce and shutting down my small business, or he needs to come out of retirement and go back to work.
So what can consumers do to navigate the costs?
It's kind of a joke that people typically spend less time picking out a health plan than picking out a television, but this would be a year to really focus in on all the options.
I'm Maribel Gonzalez reporting.
Moving to sports, the 121st World Series kicked off earlier this evening, and even though it's between the Toronto Blue Jays and the LA Dodgers, there's a Delmarva connection. What do you know? This is Mason Fluharty, and he's a pitcher for the Blue Jays. He's also a 2019 graduate of Cape Henlopen High School in Lewis. He was drafted to the Blue Jays in 2022 and made his major league debut earlier this year. Fluharty's high school coach tells us he came in ready to compete from day one.
For us, he was a guy that was a fierce competitor. We could see it on the mound. He closed out the first state championship we won in 2018, came in relief and got the strikeout to end the game in a big situation.
And World Series Game 1 literally just ended. The Blue Jays taking home the win 11-4 over the Dodgers. Now we'll move to football because it's another week in the NFL regular season, and we have your Sunday night football right here on Coast TV. This week it's the Green Bay Packers and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Coverage begins at 7, and stay right here for Coast TV News following the game. We're going to go ahead and have a new story for you after the break. It's about pumpkin carving and caution. You got to be careful with those knives this weekend. We have a safety reminder for you when we're back. Halloween is creeping up on us, and with that in mind, you may be planning to carve pumpkins this weekend. But here's your reminder to be extra careful, because according to the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission, more than 1,500 Americans each year end up in the emergency room around Halloween due to pumpkin carving accidents. Sharp knives, they can slip easily, and experts say you should keep those knives out of kids' hands and to let the adults take care of it.
Oh, very good advice, Christina. And I think we're going to see some frost on those pumpkins tomorrow morning. And if you haven't done so already, make sure you cover or bring in those plants. It's going to be a frosty night as temperatures dip down into the 30s inland areas, maybe as cold as about 34, 35 well inland, close to 40 at the beaches. And then a slow warm up as we go into tomorrow. Here's your Paul Davis 10-day forecast. 60 on Saturday, not as cold Sunday morning, around 40, and then 60 on Sunday. We increase the clouds as we go into early next week, and we're watching for a possible coastal storm with coastal impacts Wednesday and Thursday with upper 50s, and then Halloween drying out around 60 degrees, and then lower 60s into next weekend. But Christina, looking great for Sunfest and Sea Witch tomorrow.
Yeah, I was going to say, a good day for a parade, I
Absolutely.
think.
Big time.
All right, we love it. Thank you, Bob.
Sure.
And thanks to you for joining us for Coast TV News at 11. You can always find more news, more weather. Just download our Coast TV News app. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon's up next, and we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great night.